Good morning. Welcome to a lovely early March morning in Finca Arcadia. Hasn't been this sunny, it's been very wet, and that's the reason for this video. It's going to be all about water. So I want to take you on a little tour around the finca so that we can see the different points of where there is water from rain runoff, and that we can make good use of, so that it doesn't run off all the way down and away. I've talked in previous videos about trying to use permaculture principles. It's a mammoth task. I'm working a lot on my own. It's 110 hectares, 260 or 70 acres. And it's been left really untended for 40 years or more. So, but it's starting small, and that's what I want to try and do, because we were thinking about water reservoirs in different places, but the work's similar to building swales, and much more effective, because you don't then need to have pumping systems moving the water from those reservoirs. You just once the initial, it's front loaded, once the initial work is done, then it just works on its own. And well, all over it's a lot better, because you know, when you irrigate through an irrigation system, you don't get the same penetration of water into the soil like you do with swales as a tree growing system that then goes deeper into the ground. So yeah, let's go on a little tour, and I'll show you there's different points where we've got some lovely water running through at the moment. There are about 4 or so, mainly running down where the terraces are. And then my ideas on what we can do, and if you have any comments, you know, as you go through the video, seeing these different points, do let me know on, you know, the best ways that we might be able to manage the water and make sure that it stays where it's coming down, sits and percolates down into the soil for our long hot summers. Southern Mediterranean here. So what you're going to see is a little bit unusual, and it's not unfortunately 9 months of the year or 6. It's you know, we're talking maybe about a few days at a time that we have this running water. Let's go to our first stop. So this is one of the points where we have good water, and by no coincidence, this is obviously one of the rows of terraces running down. There are about 4, I suppose, you can count on the estate altogether. Now here we've got some pooling here, which is good, because I've always been in 2 minds about this. Is Half Moon Valley, which I've referred to in other videos, by the way. I've made a video of this actually looking at water, but there's more here, so I just wanted to revisit it so that you could see it with more water. A very high point up there, so there's water running down all the way from up there. It disappears underground, resurfaces, but we're still getting this runoff along tracks, which is what I want to capture as well with everything else. So what I was saying earlier was that if anybody knows how to combine terracing with swales effectively, or how to do it properly, because I don't want to ruin the work of the terraces, because terraces are basically a version of swales, and they were practiced for hundreds of years here. But I don't know if they're not ditches with mounds on the other side, but they are definitely tree growing systems, because I will show you one day, there are almond trees and fruit trees planted on the whole of this. Probably about 200 or 300. There aren't any left here, right on the edge of these retaining walls on each terrace, which is the same as you do with swales. You dig a ditch, the spoil goes up, and on the spoil at the edge where the water is retained, you plant trees. and from there everything grows with the shade, with the greater moisture in the soil, with everything. And so this is a version of it, and a version of permaculture, especially on hilly terrain. So I noticed this, but what I want to do, you know, just following on from that, is be able to capture more. It may just be about stopping this runoff and pushing it onto the terracing as well. We've got some waterlogging here too, which is great. Now, I dug a little channel a little bit further up there. We'll stop there on the way to our next spot to bring some water along an old watercourse that I noticed, and it skips several terraces and comes down to here. It was as much as anything to stop damage to the terraces a little bit further up, because there was too much water running down there and it was breaking up the terraces. And that comes out here. Apart from all the technical and all the technical ideas and things that I'm trying to do, it's just gorgeous to have this water, the sound of it, these little waterfalls. So this is where I made the channel further up there. This is where it eventually comes up. It just follows rock really along and comes out on this lovely little waterfall, which isn't new. It was here before, it seems. And the day before yesterday, so this is the water we need to harness. I don't know how many thousands of litres it is, but it's what we need to harness so that we can see ourselves through the months of May, June, July, August and September, which are so dry. So this was just running down. This was just running out and down through here and creating erosion. The other day I dug a channel here. It's only temporary to channel it down into a little reservoir that's there. But now with this extra rain, this is actually also running down there. So it's not all going where I tried to channel it. But so this runs down through here. This is actually a track that is required. Now I only got that far, and it's running out. I wanted it to run to a reservoir that's there. So this is good and waterlogged, which is great, because I also dug another channel across here, which you can barely see now when there was less water running, but it's running out of it because it runs out of the wall there where there's a reservoir. It's got a hole in it, but I dug a channel through here so that I could get it, rather than running down the track and away and losing it, I wanted it to go into the terrace and along all of the terraces. There is a separate one that runs on the terraces as well, but I don't want to lose all of this water that's running down the track. So I mean, this is fabulous, really. I dug a little channel here as well, because it was just bypassing this, and it runs it into this, and this is now nice and waterlogged. But once it's on these terraces, it's running down the center of them. But the problem with that is it creates erosion, and eventually it knocks down the terracing, especially on big events, big rain events. But you can see it, I think you can see it waterlogged all the way down through there. There are another 10 or so terraces down through here, but it's two separate channels. There's what's running down there, there's another one in there, but it also runs down here independently of that. But what I'm trying to do is to get what's running down, just down the track and not doing any good at all and being lost, as well as causing erosion further up and bringing down clay deposits, which don't help at all. Even this, I want to get into here, I want to get it into ditches, I want to leave it standing as full as possible, and then percolating through over the course of months, so that we have a permanent dampness in the soil that will allow us to grow things other than pine, other than juniper and rosemary, the most drought resistant plants there are, and actually get some broadleaves in here. Maybe we have seen some maple growing up here, and in that case I'm going to encourage that, because obviously with broadleaves you get even more condensation from dew on summer nights in general, rather than these rather than conifers, which will only which obviously have their needles designed for minimum transpiration for their drought resistance. I mean, there's another channel here, and that's also working, and another one further down there. But this runs a little bit further down there. This runs into a ravine, and there's it becomes a fairly important river there. Eventually, I'm not sure if you can see through there, there's some waterlogging there as well. But yeah, that's the idea. So how can I improve this even more? I think maybe a swale in the middle of each of these terraces. I don't know if that's going to be the right place. I don't think it's the right place to put it on the edge of the wall, because that's already doing its job. And obviously, well, this is just a matter of channeling this water rather than letting it run off and run down here. Getting it to... We've also got a separate channel in here, which comes from more runoff up there. So we've got basically 3 channels of water running down here. The most efficient one in terms of permaculture is the one that's running down through the middle of the swales, although that is causing erosion in the retaining walls. But these two need adjusting, need channeling better, because all of this, we're basically, well, some of it's running off into those where I made that, but all of this is being lost, and this would see us through the summer. This would see us through those very hot months of June, July, August and September. It is just such a shame to be losing it all. Well, that's Half Moon Valley as it is with water, with rainwater. So it does come. Last winter, not this winter just gone, we're in March, but the previous winter we had hardly any rain at all. So something like this, which is a third event like this winter, if we had everything set up properly, would have taken us through that couple of years of drought probably, and allowed things to survive a little better. But the most important thing is, with this, being able to get in some biodiversity and some flora, beginning with trees, that will create a different microclimate and allow other trees and crops and plants to survive the heat here. Gorgeous little waterfall. Right, we're going off to the next spot. Roughly speaking, there are 4 major runs of terracing on the estate. One running down straight from the house, which we haven't seen yet. Half Moon Valley, which is where I was earlier. This one, which we call La Pulga, which is like the flea, because the last terrace is tiny, but it's still there. And then the 4th one, which runs down to the ravine, and what they call the huerto, which is like the kitchen garden, but it's a big open area for cultivation. But there are also truffles there. And these two in the middle, Half Moon Valley, and this one are are the longest runs and they're the most intact. Let's give you a view of this. This is it's a lovely little waterfall, but eventually it will erode the retaining wall there, as it has done in other places, because there's no doubt that all of this erosion is from water, and eventually they'll all be lost. They can't be used, and it just returns to wild mountain, which is okay, but we've got that as well on sort of 60% of the estate, so it's nice to maintain some of this in order to create a microclimate that I was describing earlier. There's further erosion there. This is running down from the same height. There's about a 160 metre difference from the top point all the way down into the ravine where we're going to, and from there to here it's probably about 90 metres, and where I was before, all the way down in Half Moon Valley, almost 100 metres. So same story, but you see here, this is a different run of terraces. I'll swing you around gently so as not to make you dizzy. It continues running down through there, and this water, so there's some repair work to be done on this terracing. You can see it, you can still see it, and it's stunning really, and it's still just in a state of repair that would allow it. If it was any further gone, I don't know if it could be repaired, but as it is, making small repairs here and there, doing them effectively, we might be able to recover a lot of them. There's waterlogging here, which is good, but I think I want it, rather than flowing down so much, I think I need it, I think we need it for what we're trying to achieve, to retain the water for as long as possible, to last the summer months. We need to retain more water in ditches so that it's sitting there, and you see it's not just coming down through there, it's also coming down through here, which is creating all the erosion. And of course, where you have tracks, it's running down this track. Where you make a track and don't take into account water, you're going to get erosion and runoff, and a build-up of water that creates more erosion in different places. So this is run down through on that terrace. Some of it's pooling there, but a lot of it's running off, and this is the runoff that we want to stop. Now this bypasses the first 4 terraces on this run as it continues down here. I might even try a little bit later on, while this water is flowing, to get this to run straight into this terrace, so that it will pool in the first 4 terraces that are running down there. Now it's taken this route, and it just needs a little bit of guidance to take a different route. It runs down there, bypassing this one. Let's go around this way, it's a little bit easier. It bypasses this one, so this is going to miss out. That little disturbed soil is wild boar finding my truffles. The little buggers, the little blighters. So first terrace, second terrace bypassed, although there is still a little bit of water on there, but then it comes back onto the terrace, onto the terracing. It's running down through there. It's just so enchanting, the sound of the water. Anybody who hasn't lived in a semi-arid climate might not be able to appreciate it as much, but it is such a lovely sound, calming. Even if you don't live in a semi-arid climate, the water is a very calming and attractive sound. So it's running down through there. I want to channel it down through these, but avoid creating the erosion that I mentioned earlier. But here's, it comes onto this terrace and then runs down and starts running down through the middle of the terraces. Here it is. But I still believe it's necessary to add a swale or some kind of earthwork that will help this terracing out, so that we don't get so much runoff, so we get more pooling on each terrace. It may just be a case of repairing the terraces where they've got breaches in them, and that will stop this this fast flowing water that runs off to nowhere and erodes as it does. So this goes down for a long way on terraces. They get smaller and smaller until La Pulga, the little flea. And obviously some will be retained, but it's flowing. It needs to be stagnant, sitting, so it'll penetrate down. But yeah, this is similar in many ways to Half Moon Valley, as you can see. And you know, perhaps if we didn't have the semi-arid climate, we could make do with this. But these events are so rare that we do have to manage this water in some way. Nothing better than rainwater. Right, now we're going to head off to the river, to the ravine, and see the river, which I imagine is in full flood, and to see the last set of terraces there, although there isn't such a run of water down them. So I thought I'd just capture a bit of the views on the way here. As you can see, it's a lot steeper here, very steep here. No chance of swales, I don't think, but this steepness with these trees is okay. We're close to the top here because we come up a little bit. So, but what we do want to make sure is that we maintain some good root structure in the soil with large trees. It can't be directly productive, but it's forming a part of the system where lower down the water that's running through can be captured with swales and terracing, which is what we've seen. So yeah, a lot steeper here. I'm not sure if you can hear the river. I can hear it from here, but you may not be able to pick it up on this. You can just about make it out through there, possibly. This is certainly a wilder part of the estate, and the curious thing is that as you come over this ridge here, in the track, you have a different microclimate, which is, you know, quite surprising. And that's east, and we're probably about 100 kilometers from the coast, so that actually brings mild weather. So in the winter you come here and you can notice a pronounced change in temperature, maybe 3 or 4, sometimes 5 degrees, and in the summer it's cooler. So from this point, more or less, or just a little bit before, we have got some field maples coming up on their own, pioneers. So I'm going to try and introduce more of those. And I just came up here to try and get a shot of the river, a better shot of the river. And you can see here, through here, isn't that just fabulous? Now this is what brings that microclimate. This is a mountain pass, although there's no established path through there. One day we'll try and go through, and actually you can just see some waterfalls that have formed, that little white on the top of that mountain running down. But that's what creates the microclimate here. We've still got to drop maybe another 80 meters or so into the ravine, which is also next to the river. And let's see if we can get a shot. Let's see if we can get a shot of the river from here. You have to be a little bit careful because you are suddenly, you've got to look what you're doing here. Not be looking at the camera. Because there's the river running through. Not always with water in it, of course. In fact, you know, fairly rarely, like the events here. But it does come from a long way away, further up into the mountains. So that will probably last a week or so. Now, it would be nice to capture some of that water. But I'll show you what we've got down there. That would be a very difficult thing to do. But for the terraces we've got down there, there might be a possibility of capturing that water. And there are some more terraces just in there, just next to the river there. You can see a kind of ravine between these two high points, the high point I am and the next one across there. So, yeah, I just thought it was worth making this stop to take in this little viewpoint. Right, so now we're down to one of the lowest points of the property in this ravine, close to the river. I hope you can hear it. You can hear the river in the background there. Just such a wonderful sound. There is more terracing here, less of a run because we're steeper, but you can just about see it through here. It's also more overgrown. But there's some running down there. There's a lot more pine. They also run down there and through and down to the river through there. I have to say I'm a little less worried. The terraces are running down here as well. I'm a little less worried about water down here because this is where we've got the spring. and we've got a little reservoir, so we could set up a watering system. I still haven't got this fully set up yet. But this is where our spring is. I've still got some work to do on this. I'm taking it to a deposit there to be able to pump it to the reservoir, because we haven't got enough of a drop for it to gravity feed. As we get closer to the river, I'm sure you can hear it. And this is something we have to be careful with as well, because the levels can rise and fall very quickly. There it is running through there. So capturing some of that somehow, but as we're at the lowest point of the property, it's more effective and more permanent to work with swales, because if you capture into a reservoir and have it there, you have to pump, and there it is. It is running through here. A sight to behold. And running on down through there. Yeah, this is the pipe running down, which isn't doesn't have quite enough of a fall to be fed by gravity. This is one of the largest open areas on the property. It's as you can see, these are carrascas, hollyoaks, which are a medium for truffles, and there are still truffles down here. Here we are on the edge of the river, winding its way down through. As I say, for most of the year this is dry. We have actually walked a good way along that dry river bed. So that's the situation. Here's the reservoir, which we've seen in other videos, but I don't know if actually we've seen the pine trees are gone from in the middle. It's been repaired, it's retaining water. At the moment it's a bit green because I haven't got water flowing in and out. But that, if you compare that to the earlier video, or the earlier videos of when I was cleaning this out and repairing it, it's a fabulous transformation. This spot is actually very pretty. We're surrounded on all sides by high mountains. And I'm just checking to see here. This is wild boar truffle hunting activity. I think they've had maybe a kilo or so here of our truffles. This is what we're like down in the ravine. And just down here next to the running water, you can forget about all the work to be done. Just come down here and sit and pause and listen to that. All your stresses run away. So for this video on the top of the water, I'm just going to show you the flow that we have from our seep, which I've tapped partially. I've now got it, put a little dam in it so that I can feed it through an initial pipe. I did have it feeding by gravity to the reservoir that we've got, but it just kept stopping because there's just not quite enough fall. So using one of the terraces where I've got a natural fall, that's the seep there in that shade, and I've made a small dam so that the water will go into the pipe. I have the pipe running across this terrace here, and there we've got a retaining wall there with a fall. And that's as far as I've got, but just so you see the flow that we've got from our, I say seep, but you know, this is decent and very useful, certainly for this area. The problem is, as I've mentioned before, I think in other videos, we do not have an easy way to ship it almost 2 kilometers and 140 meter climb up to the house or other areas where we need irrigation. So for now I'm thinking maybe we can use it in this area because we've got lots of terracing here as well, but at some point in the future I really would like to get it up there somehow. So the idea here is there's a 3,000 litre water tank here which needs to be installed. This that I've currently got running down here would actually flow into the tank. Inside the tank we'll have a submergible water pump run by solar power, a couple of panels up there where we've got some sun, and a system of oh, what are they called, of buoys, so that when it's full the pump goes turns on and it pumps the water down to the reservoir, which is about 100 meters down there, and then when it reaches empty, another buoy will switch the pump off again and then it will flow up, then it'll fill up. So this is about 200 liters an hour, so that it gives us 5 cubic meters every 24 hours. Every 24 hours, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So it's a reasonable amount. 5 cubic liters a day. 5 cubic meters, sorry, 5,000 liters a day. So that's where we're at with that. The reservoir is ready. Everything is set up. But to my mind, this scene, there are others like it in the world. There's always somewhere more beautiful, more dramatic, but this is up there. All you need down here is a little picnic table or a rug. Come down here in the summer or the spring when it's already getting a bit warm, and and it's an oasis down here in the summer because you've still got the flow of the spring, and you've got some nice shady areas. This is where I've made a little dam. This was all set up by, I don't know, how long ago. I don't know if it's centuries, decades, probably centuries. This is the actual spring. That's wall. You can't see it because all the moss and the undergrowth. But that is a wall with the dry stone walling, a rounded wall going up quite high. That's a stone wall there, and there's a little opening at the bottom where the water runs out. So this is what they had set up. All I've done is just stopped it a little bit so that it will go into that pipe and run down to the reservoir, or initially to the water container that I mentioned. This is why we've got so much fern here in the summer. This is just overgrown with ferns. It's all damp around here, and here we'll see the inside of the spring. Okay, you can see it trickling down there, but even when it's not, you can see it trickling down through here, but when it's not trickling down through there, you can imagine this in 45 degrees blistering heat coming down here, and that water is cold, even in the summer, cold, which is gorgeous. So this is what I refer to as our bower of bliss from Spencer's Fairy Queen, if anybody knows it. And it really is lovely, cool area with this precious resource of water, gorgeous clear water, and there it runs out. Percolating down from high up, 160 meters approximately, or who knows exactly where it comes from.